Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just did 2 videos of how to make the famous Puerto Rican coquitos, so if you haven't seen those, please check them out. I did an English version and a Spanish version. Famous, it's an eggnog, rompope like they say in Mexico type of drink. Really, really good, so check out those videos. Now I'm going to show you how I make a Puerto Rican rum cake. So I tried to do this video before and it didn't work out, so it's already in the oven, but I'll tell you the ingredients that you need and the degrees and everything. You're going to need a yellow cake mix. It could be Pillsbury, Betty Crocker, whatever. Just make sure there's no pudding in the mix, but that it is moist. So that you're going to need a box of pistachio, Jello pistachio pudding. I don't really know why they picked that flavor. I heard it's because of the coloring, but let me tell you, I would rather pistachio pudding for the color and the taste. But you can use vanilla pudding. Some recipes that call for this cake this cake calls for is vanilla pudding. But I highly, highly recommend pistachio. Not only is the color green and beautiful, but it does make a difference in the taste. You're going to put 4 whole eggs, not the whites, not the yolks. You're going to put the whole thing, whites and yolks together, 4. Then you're going to put a half a cup of rum. It's the Puerto Rican Bacardi rum. In this recipe, it calls more for gold, but you can use white. I've done white a lot, and I like them both the same. It's the Bacardi Puerto Rican rum. You'll see it says Santiago de Cuba on the bottom, made in Puerto Rico. So you're going to use a half a cup of that and a 1/4 cup of water. That's it. Stir it, beat it, whatever you have to do. Make sure the lumps are out. You'll see that it starts to turn green. It's really pretty. You're going to put in the oven for 325 degrees. It's going to be in there for 40 minutes on a Abundant pan. Now you can put it in any pan you want. I choose Abundant because not only does it make the cake look pretty, but it makes it bigger so the dish is deeper, so the cake comes out bigger, prettier, easier to slice. So Abundant pan is 40 minutes for a round or square, the normal 35 minutes. But that's pretty much the recipe and how much you put it in for. Right now what I'm going to teach you how to do is the glaze. So I got my pot. And I'm going to put it on here, and you're going to melt 1 stick of butter first. So I'm going to put my 1 stick of butter in the pot. So you're doing this as the cake is being made. Then you're going to add a whole cup of rum. And then you're going to add a 1.5 cups of sugar. So I got my cup of rum here. And then my 1.5 cups of sugar, and then you're going to add a 1/2 cup of water. So it's just pretty much making the glaze. So you make sure that butter is melted, and you do this one, you have to do in a certain order, or it can be problematic. So the butter being melted is first. Then you're going to add the water and the sugar, and then in the end you're going to add the rum. Now you could do this recipe 2 ways. If you really want to have the alcohol effect, whether it's tipsy, getting drunk, or just feel good, you have to put extra after the whole cake is done, glaze and all. Otherwise you get the alcohol flavor, but you don't get the alcohol effect, because when you cook it, it takes away the content of the alcohol. So my rum is already in my pan baking with the cake. Then I'm also putting it in here, but both are being cooked. So you get, like I say, you get that alcohol flavor, but not the alcohol content. But I like to add a little bit more, and it depends on how strong you like it, or who's going to be drinking it, or what. So in this case, I might put very little, and that's usually after I do the glaze, I'll just run over it very little, because if only the adults are going to drink it, which there's pretty much adults in my house. So I don't really have to have any worries. But if kids are going to be eating out of this, you just want to cook it the normal way, where the alcohol is in baking inside of it and baking in the thing, so it just has the flavor but not the alcohol content. But if you're going to make it for just adults or 21 and over, then you could pour a little bit extra when everything is done and the glaze has been put through. And the way you're going to pour the glaze is you're going to poke it with either toothpick or fork, and it's going to drain all into those. So my butter is melted, so I'm going to add the sugar and stir as I'm adding the sugar. Oh, this lighting is very dark, but I'm trying to be by the stove. So all the sugar out. stir in the sugar. Then you stir in the water and the rum. But you stir in the water and the sugar. You let it simmer for 4 to 5 minutes. I haven't made this in a while stirring constantly. Then, so let me do, I'm actually going to do the water separately. I'm just gonna, in my notes, I write this down so I don't ever forget. So it's a 1/4 cup. So I'll pour a little bit out. 1/4 cup of water. Sorry. Oh my God, I gotta put this on a higher platform or something because this is gonna drive me crazy. There's not that much lighting in here. Let's see if we can do it that way. Let's do it that way. Okay. So I poured the sugar and now I'm gonna pour the water. And it has the, so you melt the butter first, then you add the, like I said, the water and sugar and stir it constantly. So I'm stirring it to get good consistency. Sorry for the lighting. I have that big light up there, but then yet there's not that good of a light down here. I'm in my kitchen. I normally do it by the counter like I did my coquito videos and it had perfect lighting. I have to be by the stove, and I got the fan on so my smoke alarm don't go off. It's so sensitive. Oh my God. So I'm going to turn it off because I have the other fan on so you can hear me better. I probably was screaming. So then you're going to turn off the heat and you're going to let it simmer for a little bit, like 4 to 5 minutes. And then you're going to turn off, you're going to let it simmer for a little bit. Then you're going to, I'm trying to remember, I haven't made this in so long. You let it simmer for 4 to 5 minutes and then you pour the rum into the mixture, and this will prevent it from any accident or burns, and that becomes your glaze. So I'm going to put it on pause and come back. Oh, okay, so we let it simmer, so I'm going to pour the alcohol, and we're turning off the heat. So I'm stirring it. And it just lets it get a little bit thick in consistency. Then I'm going to turn the heat on a little bit again. Probably on medium heat. And let it finish blending in and cooking. This is what you're going to pour over the cake when it's done. I have 19 more minutes for my cake to be done. And by the way, I still had the mix. That's how it looks green. That's how my cake batter looked. Oh my God, it's so good. Oh my God, so sorry. That thing on the pozole fell down. It's like a hat for that pot. Okay, so we're going to turn that off. You only have to do that for 30 seconds. So once the cake is out, then I'll show you how I pour it over. Be right back. Okay, so this is how the cake came out. Let me see if I can turn it. This lighting is horrible, like this. So what I'm going to do is just poke holes in it. It's better to do it with the toothpick if you have it. I don't have a toothpick, so I'm just going to go kind of like this.
Can't eat my cookie since this is Christmas because it's good to eat cookies.
And just go all the way around the circle, poking the hose. And I kind of do it on the edges to make sure it really gets in the cake. And then in the inside as well to make sure it really gets inside the cake. Okay. Then you're going to take the glaze that we made in the pot. I don't like the lighting on this thing, is horrible. And you could put it in. I usually pour it in a cup so it doesn't go that fast and that heavy. So then what I do is I take and then just pour it all over so it goes all in the hose. Oop. Whoa. Should have got a one with the spout would be better because it's spilling. Where's my measuring cup? Let me use this real quick. Just pour it in here. So it'd probably be better to use a measuring cup, that way you have the spout and it doesn't splash. So let's see if that's better. Yep, much better. So just pour a little bit and then let that soak in, and then you have plenty left to do more, or if you want to even do another cake. So that's pretty much how you do it. So that's the Puerto Rican rum cake. And then like I said, if you do want to have the alcohol content, then take some more rum without it being cooked and then slightly pour it over on top of that glaze. That way you not only have the flavor of rum, but you have the alcohol content. But make sure that you don't drink and drive. So make sure when you eat this, I'm sure a little bit won't hurt, but just to be safe than sorry, just make sure you're going to be staying home for the night. Depends on how much alcohol you put in it. And even with a drop of alcohol, you shouldn't drink and drive. So that's it for the Puerto Rican rum cake. I hope you like this recipe and try it out yourself. And if you do, let me know what you think. But other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and into my next video. Thanks very much for watching.